Hello. In this video, we're going to take a look at the procedure to set up circuit trace applications so that we can trace PCB connections, run script programs, monitor PCB signals, wiggle pins, and do some other things as well. The starting point is the system menu, and we'll go into New Project, browse to a project folder that has some BSDL files. And when we do so, we'll see a list of those boundary scan description language files. We're not going to load up a CAD netlist. We don't have it in this particular project or bill of material. So we're just going to click OK. And when we do, we will get a list of the BSDL files here. And from this point, what we need to do is detect our JTAG components on our chain, find out what the chain is. And so we'll go to the Setup menu, click Auto Detect, and Circuit Trace will go out and scan through the target printed circuit board and find the related BSDL files. This list simply shows the BSDL files in the order in which the corresponding devices were detected on the board, from test data in to test data out. So now what we have to do is using this information, we have to build a JTAG chain. And to do that, we will simply add these detected files to the chain. And then we will see a list of JTAG logics with those BSDL files assigned in chain A. You can have any number of chains, which we can change with this menu. So now these are pseudo names for the names of the locations on the board. So we want to change these names by editing in place to the correct name. So we'll simply go U4, since I know that's what that location is on the board, and we'll change each of these reference designators. U3, U2, U1. So now we have defined the JTAG chain, and all we need to do is click OK, and Circuit Trace will model that. And when it does, now over here in the circuit docking panel, we will see our chain set up with a list of the devices in the chain. We can expand these items and look at the opcodes and select different opcodes that we want to use for our tracing and monitoring applications. We can go into ID codes and edit the ID code value, which might affect how we want to do the auto detect. Or we can add alternate ID codes depending on, for example, which vendor is supplying the JTAG parts. And then when we click on a device, we'll see that we get a list of the pins associated with that part. And right now we could go in and select a pin, for example. We can wiggle it high, and when we drive a pin and wiggle one pin, you'll see that some arrows come up next to all of the pins, and this is simply showing the scan value that was captured at each of these pins. So this one has a logic low, a down arrow, a logic high, an up arrow. So these show the captured values. We can wiggle a pin low, wiggle it high, and then if we need to see the type of pin, we can show its I/O type by simply clicking on this button on the toolbar. And I is pure input, O is pure output, I/O is an input-output pin, B is a buffer. If we want to go back and look at the values, we click there. And we could sort this pin list by pin name, alphanumerically, or by net name if we wanted to there. Should also point out, if we go back over here, we can sort this list by show it by logics, or we could sort it by nets. So once we have the chain and have access to the scan pins on JTAG parts, we can come in and do a number of things. We could, for example, set drive pin low or high. In other words, set a static value to a pin so it holds that value throughout a test. For example, we could set this output at a constant high, and when we went in and traced the pin, let's say we want to trace all the connections on that pin, we could trace it, we'd be holding that pin high. We can pick another pin, wiggle and find pins connected to that pin. We can now monitor signal values, the active signals on this board. And so we're now ready to do a number of things, including script, but we'll cover that in the JTAG. Okay, so it's nice if we have a board handy so that we could use auto detect to find our chain, but let's say that we don't. So in that case, what we'll do is come in here and select our devices and simply delete them. Okay, so then what we're going to do is just use the BSDL files themselves to form a chain. So we'll select the BSDL files and we'll add BSDL files to the chain. And so since we've done that, we don't know, we've used pseudo names again for the devices on the board. We don't know at this point what the order of the JTAG chain is or what the assignment should be of the BSDL files. So we know, if you know your board, you know your schematic, then you might know that, and I do in this case, that this is the first device, the test data in the device. So I'll just move that up to the top. This is the next device, and this is the third device from test data in to test data out. So this is the order of the chain. And then again, you just go in and you edit in place so you get the right reference designators for your board. 3. U2. U1. And so we've redefined the chain in this simple way where we didn't have to go out and do auto detect, and we could add any number of devices or and make assignments. We can change the chain designator. We might have 2, 3, 4 chains. And so now we're ready to simply say OK and remodel the circuit. And then we're right back where we were, where we can do the JTAG operations. So that's it for the setup video. Thanks for watching.